and we're here with the star of At Any Price, Mr. Dennis Quaid, and the director, Ramin Bahrani. And you guys have a little bit of a task ahead of you. You're opening up today, May 3rd, against Iron Man 3. How do you feel about that?
What is that?
Yeah, exactly.
This weekend?
Well, and I think it's a much different movie. I think it's a movie for people who are looking for something with a little more substance. And I had to ask you, Ramin, you don't work with a lot of professional actors. I mean, a lot of your movies have been with people who are, more real, not real life, but more people without a lot of experience. So when Dennis Quaid signs on to do this, how do you feel about your prospects?
I feel pretty good.
Yeah.
That's why we're sitting here today. I love Dennis's work since I was a kid, especially Breaking Away and Far From Heaven and all his roles. And, he's usually playing a very traditional hero. And I like the idea that together we could turn that upside down. And in many ways, he's playing an anti-hero. He's playing a Willie Loman type character from Death of a Salesman. And so he's a corrupt businessman. It's not just about farmers, it's about businessmen. And there's something really fresh about the film, and I think Dennis's role, I was lucky to work with him.
Well, and it is a different role. I mean, I think you hit it on the head. It's about more than just, say, farming. And I think that the simple answer is, it's about all these people who are living on these family farms. But, I mean, your character, the thing I really liked about it, and maybe this is what appealed to you to do the movie, but, there's these different layers that you get to peel back a little bit at each time. So at what point do you decide, hey, now I'm going to show a little bit of this, I'm going to show a little bit of that, and was that kind of the challenge for you?
Well, you're right that this is not a movie just about farming. I mean, the name of the game, it's really about Wall Street has come to farming, the farming industry. It's a huge multi-billion-dollar industry these days, and that's put a lot of pressure on traditional farm families, which are going out of business. They're disappearing from our landscape. Now you have 35,000 acre farms that are farmed by 5 people, and they're really a huge business. And Henry Whipple, the character I play with, Ramin and I talked a lot about Death of a Salesman and the Willie Loman character, who's chasing this American dream. He's had this farm passed down to him by his father, and his father before that. He's trying to give it to his sons who don't want it. They have their own dreams, but the pressures of the world that he's living in has caused him to sort of do some corrupt things. He's corrupted himself in the meantime, and he's compromised a lot of his values, and he presents this confident exterior to the world, but underneath he's a broken man, and he starts to crack during the movie.
Well, and that's the thing I loved about your portrayal, because I'll admit it. Early on, I'm sitting there, I'm watching, I'm going, God, he's kind of playing this guy like he's full of baloney, and is Dennis? Yeah, well, exactly. And I'm like, man, maybe Dennis is going too far. But no, then you get those chances to show he's full of baloney to everybody else but himself, and maybe even more to himself.
Well, I think he's actually inside. He feels different on the inside than on the outside. That's for sure.
It's kind of like Dennis Quaid is playing the salesman Henry Whipple, who is playing the salesman Henry Whipple, because he has to put up a facade to the world in order to appear successful, and the movie keeps cracking away at that as the pressures mount.
Well, now, Dennis, you're from Texas. I mean, Ramin, you were born in North Carolina? Did you grow up in North Carolina as well? So you've kind of been around agriculture.
Yes.
So how much of your own experiences really did kind of feed into this movie and where it was going to go?
I mean, I think it helped me in terms of just being able to communicate and connect to the farmers. I spent many months living with farmers in Iowa and in Indiana and other places, and I found them to be very friendly, very open, just really, really good people, and they loved their community and their neighbors. And what was unique about the situation now, which makes the film so modern, is that these pressures to expand or die, to get bigger, get out, had created a situation where a farmer was prepared to cut his neighbor out. And I think that's a tough situation to be in, and I think it's something we can all feel, be it related to what's going on in Wall Street, where just big businesses keep getting bigger, like a Walmart opens up and suddenly every other business in town gets wiped out, or even in your industry, journalism, that one journalist writes an article and 200 newspapers pick it up because a lot of people suddenly don't have a job. So I think these are things we all feel.
Well, and there is competition, a great deal of competition. I mean, you guys know, in Hollywood, one of the most competitive industries ever. And, Dennis, you've successfully worked for a long time now. And, what's kind of the secret to your continuing and being involved in all these great projects?
Perseverance.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. Just, I'm grateful to still be here doing what I'm doing. And the only strategy I've had is to play as many different types of roles as possible in as many different genres. And it keeps it interesting for me, and I still have fire in my belly for it. So that's the thing that probably keeps me still hanging around.
Yeah. What was it about this movie in particular that gave you that fire?
I was offered out this role, and I read the script, and I was really interested in doing the script because it was such a great story, emotional story, and a very complex character. But I saw Ramin's movies that were sent to me, and Chop Shop, Goodbye Solo, and Man Push Cart, and his films are very, very interesting in that you're aware that you're watching a film, but at the same time it feels like a documentary.
Last question. A lot of folks are big fans of Vegas. What's going to happen with Vegas? Are we going to be able to see it again next year on CBS?
I certainly hope so. We'll find out in May whether we get picked up.
Okay. Well, I hope you do. Not that, maybe you do another movie with Ramin too. You'll have some time in between.
Well, we've moved to Friday nights now, and I think that's a good place for us.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us on NewsPlus today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the reason you want to see At Any Price is that performance from Dennis Quaid. He really is playing a guy who's playing a guy. And watching Henry kind of deal with all these deceptions that he's been putting himself through and his family through, and finally coming to reality of what he truly wants to be, is an amazing performance from Dennis Quaid, and the performance that really does grab your attention. That's why I'm giving At Any Price 2.5 waffles. Oh, and you didn't think we were going to forget about Iron Man 3, did you?
How many in the air?
13, sir.
How many can I carry?
4, sir.
Robert Downey Jr. is back as Tony Stark, and he's a little messed up after everything that happened in the Avengers. And now he has a new nemesis. He's taking on a terrorist known as the Mandarin, who's been spreading fear all across the globe. And when he hurts somebody very close to Tony Stark, now it's personal. Tony wants revenge. And I gotta tell you, Iron Man 3 is one of those movies where it's kind of okay in the beginning. You can sense there's a lot going on here. Director and writer Shane Black is desperately trying to introduce all the characters and all the stories and trying to give everybody a little something to do. But it's that last act that makes Iron Man 3 the movie you've been waiting for. It's just action-packed. It builds to a climax that's gonna have you cheering, and it even gives Gwyneth Paltrow something to do. And we should give her more to do because I'm sick and tired of her stupid blog. Iron Man 3 is a clear indication that it's time for Robert Downey Jr. to stop. Put an end to Iron Man right now. Go out on top because it seems like Iron Man's running out of a little bit of juice. I'm going to give Iron Man 3 waffles. And don't forget to check out my reviews, interviews, and a whole lot more at the new and improved DC50TV.com.